What's up everyone, Steven here with techmaker.tv. In this episode, we're going to look at how to update records on the Aleph network. If you've been following along with our decentralized chat series, you'll know that we've been working out how to build up a data model in Aleph, and now we're trying to figure out how to set up private channels, and there's a couple different aspects to that. And one is essentially provisioning who's allowed to be in the channel. And there's not a perfect solution for this, but if we can jump into this, we'll look at how we can sort of set up a protocol for how we can restrict who's allowed to chat. I use the word protocol there sort of loosely. You'll see what I mean if you're following along with that series pretty soon, but essentially we can't really prevent anybody from posting things to the network. It's just not possible as far as I understand it. So what we have to do is on the application side have some sort of way to filter out that data. And so what we want to do is do that in a way that is decentralized. So when I say protocol, what I really mean is sort of like a specification or a spec, so that if anybody else wanted to build a user interface on top of our data model, as long as they follow the spec, everything would work pretty much how we set it up. So I know that's a lot of intro, so with all that said, let's just jump into the code and kind of play around with how this works. Essentially what I want to do is walk through updating a record and look at how I think it works and just verify that it does what I think it does. So in any case, let's go ahead and jump in. So I'm here in my terminal and I'm actually in the directory of our chat application. And that's kind of important because I've got a local copy of the aleph.js library here. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up node with node, and then I'm going to do the experimental REPL await like this. And that's going to allow me to await instead of having to use promises. So now what I want to do is essentially say const aleph equals require, and then we'll get aleph.js, and it's nicely auto-completing there, and just hit enter. Now we should have aleph available. Okay, so now what we should be able to do is something like, let's just do await, and then aleph.post.get posts, like this. And let's just see what comes back and just make sure we're pulling some stuff back from the network. And it looks like we are. We can pull back from a particular type, so we should be able to say chat and get the last chat. And you can see up here we have type chat, so on and so forth. Okay, cool. So now let's look at how we can actually try to update something. So the first thing I'm going to do is just create a new Ethereum account. And so all I need to do for that is say let account equal aleph, actually let's await aleph.ethereum.new account, and that's it. So now I've got my account here. Again, as I always say when I show account stuff on the screen, never use any of this info, because if you've seen it, so has everybody else. So never use anything that you see a person online sharing, because somebody could steal your money if you were to send money to that address. Okay, so now we've got an account. I'm going to go ahead and just set up a few variables here. So I'm just going to say let channel equal test. And if you're curious where this comes from, I'm actually just kind of running through some of the examples on Aleph's GitHub. So these variables let channel equal test. And then we have let API server equal, and I think this should be HTTPS, and then we'll do API2.aleph.im. So I'm just pulling these from the examples on their GitHub, so you just got to go read through the code if you want to see these defaults. And then the last thing I'm going to do, well, actually I think I'm just going to stop there. So let's go ahead and create a new message. So we're going to say let msg equal, and also one other thing, sorry to keep backtracking, but we did almost exactly this in a previous video, so that's kind of why I'm skipping around. So if you haven't seen that one, I'm going to put all this together in a big playlist, so hopefully if you're seeing this, you've already seen that. in any case, there is another video if you're totally lost. So what we're going to do here is await, and then we're going to do aleph.post.submit. And then in here, we need to specify several things. So we're going to say account.address. So this is basically saying who it's from. I'm going to put it in the type chat. And the type here is important, but it's not always important. And you'll see what I mean. So it's essentially a way to categorize things. And it's also something that Aleph can sometimes use internally. So I think putting this here, we could call this like in the app that we're building, we might call this like messages, like this. I'm just calling it chat because I'm going to be doing some other stuff in a minute that I've already kind of planned out. So think of this like, in my opinion, think of this like a database table name. And one more side comment here. So like one thing I'm going to do in the future, I think, is start namespacing stuff. So like if I have an app that I'm developing, I might do like techmaker.messages, something like that. I think that would work. Anyway, we're going to go with chat. It's enough side comments for me for a minute at least. And then this is going to take, this third argument here is essentially the JSON that we want to be sent over to the network. So we can say like body, and then testing, and we're going to say we're testing updates, like that. And you'll see what I mean in just a second with testing updates. And now we need to provide this with several of the options we had before. So we need to say API server, and account is account. And then what I want to do is say ref. And I think that's refs actually. No. The ref is going to be the room, and we'll just call it hall. I'm doing all this kinda from memory and kinda from some notes. So hopefully I got it all right. Okay, so then channel is just going to be channel, like that. And let's see here. Okay, so what's my message? Okay, so it looks like it's saved. I have my sender address here. I've got my item hash, which tells me it is probably saved in the network. Let's cycle up here and get the post from chat. And let's get the last one, or the first one. I guess it comes back in reverse order, I think. Hold on, let me do something different here. So we'll say let posts equal that, and then posts dot posts, and then I'm going to grab the last one if that's what I think. No, let's do BTC to the moon. Okay, let me see if I can find my exact one. So maybe somebody else is trying this out right now. Maybe I've got this backwards. Maybe if I do -1, that's undefined. Post dot posts dot length -1. No. Okay, so let me try this, pulling back my hash ID from what I did earlier. That's probably the easiest way to do this. So I created, where was it? Okay. We're going to have to cycle up and do this one more time because I'm getting lost here. So what we're going to do is, actually I have the message here in this variable. Sorry, here we go. So we have message item hash. So we should be able to await post like this. And then I think we can just do hashes like that. And then message dot item hash. Just want to make sure this is actually saved on the network and see it. And then you can see here that we have posts, and then if I do post dot first, no, post, and then you can see here we got testing updates Okay, cool. So now we're ready to actually see if we can update this thing. So typically, if you wanted to update a record in a database, you would talk through SQL, or if you're in like Mongo, you would just run something against like the document that you're holding to actually change that record. In Aleph, what you have to do is actually a bit different. And what you got to do is create a new post with a special type called amend. I think it's amend. And then that post will actually go, if it has the right name, and I think if the address of the sender matches the address of the creator of the previous record, it will actually update the previous record. If that sounds confusing, you're not alone. I'm going to try to do it here and we'll see where we get to. So we've got our message still. Okay, sorry, had to kind of like cut back a bit. So I think I'm kind of where we left off here. Ran into a couple of snags and I think I've figured some things out, so hopefully it works better. Take two. All right, so I just literally recreated the message that we had. So you can see here I've got await, Aleph post submit. I've got the account with the address here. So what I'm going to do is, instead of chat, that's not what I want to do. I want to click that. Okay. So there's a special keyword you can put in here if you want to update something. And what you're going to do is put amend. And that's basically saying, hey, we're going to make an update. And what I'm going to do is say, this should be updated. Okay. So we're passing in our address here. We're saying this should be updated. We're giving it the API server, the account, the same ref, the same channel. Actually, we're not giving it the same ref. That's the one thing that's different. So this is not a normal post that we're making here. This is an update. And so, as I said, you've got to give it the keyword amend. And then for the ref, you've actually got to give it the item hash of that message. And I don't want to call this message. That's going to mess me up. So I'm going to say response. Okay, so let's run that and let's have a look at the response. Okay, so you can see here we've got our item content showing up there with so on and so forth. But I want to go look at the Explorer over here. And let's give it a quick refresh. And you can see that we've got an amend coming across here. And you can see if we click in, it should say this should be updated. Cool. And I think, so you can see the last thing that happened on the network, because the network's not too busy yet, is we've got this chat being posted here. And you can see it's testing updates. So let's try to query the network for the post that we made. So we're going to say let post equal that, and then we'll do post.post 0, and you've got this content body now. This should be updated. Okay, and if you look down here in the content, you've got our address with the type amend being here, and then another content. So, and you can see, I guess this is the time it was updated potentially. So I think it worked. I mean, it certainly looks like it's working. So the last thing that I want to verify that's going to prove whether we can actually use this the way I'm thinking or not is whether or not I can sort of show that you can't actually update a record unless you created the record. Like, that would be ideal. That would help us a lot with our authorization and stuff. So what I want to do is get some other posts, and it's not going to matter which one. I'm just going to get a chat, and let's do refs, and then let's give it the array, and I think there's a channel called techies, like that. All right, let's look and see what posts we got. Posts. Dot posts, and let's get the first one. Okay, so we've got ho ho ho, so assuming this is probably Santa Claus. Just kidding. Anyway, so what we want to do is try to update this post. now. And I'm going to basically say message, let's say let not our message equal, and then I'm going to do post 0. So not our message dot item hash. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is update this now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is say aleph.post.submit, and we're going to amend, and we're going to say in the ref here, not our message, right? And what we should do is say something like this should not be updated. Okay, hopefully this doesn't update anything. So we can see the response, and let's go back and have a look at the chain really quick. So if I refresh one more time just to make sure we've got the most recent stuff. So you can see we've got this should not be updated here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is try to pull back the message. So I'm going to go over here to not our message. Okay. And you can see, let's see here. We still got ho, ho, ho. I don't see any amends. Let me just kind of filter this down a little bit so it's a little more readable, at least to me. Some people are probably going to look exactly the same. Anyway, so this does not look like it's been updated. And that was what I was expecting to happen. So my understanding of this is that if you don't own it, you cannot amend it. That's what I understand. The amend message does get posted to the network, but Aleph internally does not actually sort of recognize the amendment unless it was from you. So I think that's pretty clever if that is exactly how it works, which does look like it's how it works. So hopefully we got this right. So I think that's about it for this episode. I'm fairly comfortable with this. It's a little bit hard to kind of visualize all this when you're just looking right here and know for sure that everything's happening exactly the way that we think it is. I did reach out to the team earlier, and this is what they suggested would happen. So looks like it is what it is. So in any case, this kind of been a weird episode, kind of just exploring around, getting our feet wet with updating records. So what we're going to do in the next episode is jump back into our series, and I'm just going to assume for now this works exactly like it looks like it works, and we're going to use this to help us create sort of the ability to create a list of addresses. Like if you're the creator of a channel, what we're going to do is allow you to add, approved addresses to the channel so that you can have sort of a private chat or an exclusive chat where people can't add messages to it without being whitelisted or whatever. So in any case, that's going to be coming up next. If that's interesting to you, I will talk to you over in that episode. Thank you for watching.